Hello, everyone. This is your friend Tom Moore here, coming at you live from the Spyderco Millie PM2 Pair 3 Club. And today, it's another fine day to do some sharpening. And we're going to sharpen one of my favorite things to sharpen, a Chris Reeve Umnumzaan Tanto specifically. This is a cool looking knife. These are neat. They're really different. It's hard to explain how they feel different than other knives, but they're just kind of unique in their own way. Opening them up is something to get used to, but once you do it, it's not bad. But at first, they're like difficult to operate. Yeah, we're gonna put a mirror on this thing, which is always fun. I really like the way Chris Reeve grinds their edges. You can see how it's not a normal Tanto where the edge is consistent. This kind of grows into a fat swedge, which looks really cool when it's mirrored up. So they do their factory edges really well. They're depends on how old this is. Sometimes these take me a while to get a burr. Sometimes it takes me a while to profile the tip. Sometimes they're fast. I'm hoping it's fast because I'm doing this on video. But we'll see how it goes. Chris Reeve steel, I have found, takes longer to get a burr on than other steels of similar type. So we'll see how this goes. So first thing we're going to do is a primary bevel. Push it out. So clamp it straight like that. Before we do anything else, let's tape it up. I don't want to scratch anything. I don't want to hit the ricasso. I don't want to have to think about it while I'm sharpening the heel. So you just take a piece of electrical tape, stretch it over everything that the stone can hit. And there we go. Okay, so Chris Reeve blades are typically about 21 or 22 degrees. We're going to use Halfstone Premium CBNs because we're doing a mirror. I have these TS Prof stones. I haven't tried mirroring them yet, so I want to try mirroring them on. These are my other stones I've been using. They go really high in grit, but I don't know how they look yet, so I don't want to do this on a knife and then have it not turn out the way I want. So we're going to do CBNs because I know they work. I think the diamonds cut faster, though. Where's my Sharpie? So first things first, we Sharpie this guy up. I think it's about time for a new Sharpie. This thing's tip is kind of cut up. Okay. So we're going to set the sharpener to about 20 degrees, roughly. And we're going to take a swipe at the edge. It looks like we're hitting the leading edge, so we're a little bit too high of an angle still. So we're going to drop it down a bit. That looks pretty good right about there. You can kind of see all on the edge is gone. And this one is about just a little bit too high. So now we're just going to see what angle it is. We're pretty close. But typically I sharpen to a full angle degree. Or a half, just somewhere for reference point. So we are at 19.1. We're going to go up to 20. Let's check this again. Don't really want to drop it under 20 too much, but could be there. We'll figure this out. 20 will work. Yeah, 20 is good. Okay, we don't hit anything. Check our stop collar here. Make sure we don't ride up on the blade face. And now we sharpen. Using a 150 grit half-stone premium CBN stone. This is a pretty good job profiling. I don't like to use my 80 grit unless I'm doing a major chip repair. So this is about as low on the half stones I usually use. But I do have these new TS Prof stones, and it has a 120 grit that cuts really well. I'm really liking that for profiling. But since I don't know how well the whole set mirrors just yet, I'm going to try on a different knife first. So when you get to the point on the Tanto, it's important to not round it, so not tip. So you're keeping the stone flat with the straight edge and just kind of floating over the tip, and it will make a nice pointy corner as long as you don't roll it. A little more at the heel, but this is coming together pretty nicely, pretty quick. Okay. I'm going to flip it. I don't know if we have a bird. Oh, we do. We have a nice little burr. So this didn't take too long on this steel. Sometimes it does. So we're good to go. So that first side's profiled. We'll do another pass with it to clean it up, make sure everything's good, but it's good to go, sharpening wise. CRKs are really well done from the factory. That's why I enjoy sharpening for that, but also it's kind of boring because you're not really fixing anything, which is the fun part of sharpening sometimes, is making it look better than it was. And it's kind of hard to make a CRK edge look much better than it already came from the factory. They do a good knife. I didn't enjoy them for a long time. I always thought they looked good, but I just couldn't get over the thumb stud aspect. Well, now I've handled them enough that from sharpening that I've gotten used to thumb stud, and I do appreciate them quite a bit. I mean, for the price point, an American-made knife, it's pretty good deal. I have a small Sabenza with a Tanto blade as well. And I haven't got to carry it much. That's because I don't wear jeans that often. And it's kind of going outside kind of nice for me. Okay. We have a burr from the backside on the front. So we're profiled. Now we're just going to do one pass with 150 to clean this edge up. Kind of knock on the burr a little bit. Do a few passes on it. I think we're probably looking pretty good. Actually, let me check this. Yep, we're good. So these used to take me like well over an hour to do. I've gotten quite a bit better at it now. So I don't have to charge exorbitant rates. I charge by the hour to do these. So we'll see what this ends up being, but $60 an hour for an edge of something unusual. This qualifies as that. Okay, we're good. We'll go up to our 400 grit stone. You hear the burr getting knocked back. And it shouldn't take a ton of work. I spend too much time on these stones because they do what I'm trying to do with just a couple passes. They get it ready for a mirror pretty well. Like that is already good to go. We're gonna flip. Floating the Tanto tip, Tanto transition. I usually do 2 passes with the 400 grit stone to minimize the burr a little bit. This stone does a good job of just getting rid of any last scratches that happen to be there. Once you go higher than this, scratches don't come out. Okay. Okay, looks good. Okay, looks good. So we're going up to 800 grit now. We'll go through 5,000. These stones go pretty quick. And then we're going to tackle the fun part, which is the tip. I enjoy doing the tips on these Tantos. Let's see if we can minimize how long we spend doing these high polishing stones. Really spend too much time on them, I think, but I don't want my mirrors to turn out bad, but I think it's good to go. Got a few of you guys watching me this live. Say what's up in the comments. Happy to be doing this with an audience. It's kind of fun. $2,000 grit. Important to go all the way down to the heel and kind of do a little extra grinding on it to make sure you get nice and clean into it. Looking pretty good right now. And this is like the point where I'm like, it's good. And it's good. 5,000 grit, last stone on this edge, and then we'll tackle the fun part. I'm doing this on my Cadet instead of my KO3 sharpener because I'm used to it. Just doing these kind of fine things. The KO3 is great. TS Prof sent it to me. I've been enjoying it. It's really good for big knives, especially like kitchen knives. But I like the small size of the Cadet for doing stuff like Tanto tips and things that are more intricate. Because the stone holder on the KO3 with these heavy ass stones in it is pretty a lot of weight to hold in your palm of your hand and try to control with a big long heavy steel rod. I understand why they make a lighter rod for it. And we are looking pretty good. Don't see any big scratches. Okay, we're gonna say that's good for that edge. So we're going to rotate it like so, so that we'll get more of it up in the jaw. I'll take a picture of this so I can post it later. Okay, still a little loose in there. There we go. Okay, we got tape on there. Typically, the Tanto tips are not the same as the primary bevels on these. And usually this is like 17 degrees. It's really important to dial it in with the Sharpie because if you're a little bit off or if it's not quite 17 or whatever it's supposed to be, this is a ton of work to profile this much steel, this wide of a bevel. So it's really important we'll dial this in really carefully with the Sharpie. We got Wesley Sims. So happy to be catching this live. I recently brought Cadet Pro to sharpen my Tanto Zaan, and I'm wondering if you need a single clamp to get the job done. You don't need to get a single clamp. You can use the separate clamps. They'll work. You just won't be centered in the sharpener arm. You'll be kind of offset to one side. It still works. It's just this single clamp does work great just to get in the middle. There's the L adapter clamps, which I have. I don't know how they work, to be totally honest. I have a bunch of clamps and crap. I like the center clamp the most, but it's not a must, but it definitely helps. Because I like everything being kind of in the center. Because before, you can put both clamps on one side. Where are those clamps? Where did I put them? Took them off my desk. You can put both clamps on one side. These are different. These are like little fillet clamps. And it will hold the knife like that because these have to be close enough. If you set them like this, it's kind of too wide apart to clamp correctly on a pocket knife. Sup, Eric Mason. Join me for some fun. Okay, I was going to set this tip to 17 degrees as a starting point. Zeroing it out. About where are we at? That's almost 17. Re-zero it. Just make sure we're on. And the reason it's important to be on, I usually like to be at a slightly higher angle than a slightly lower angle, because when I'm at a slightly higher angle, I know I'm apexing the edge. I don't have to work up just to get an apex. It seems to work better when you're slightly higher than factory or whatever you're working on. But in this case, you want to be dead on, because if you're not at a high enough or at the right angle, you won't get a crispy bevel in the backside. So we're going to profile out this whole tip so it's dead flat. So So it's important that we're going to use a hand underneath the tip to keep this thing from bouncing. It's a light sharpener, so it can kind of move around. This also helps keep me just in the right zone. Let's put our 150 grit stone back on and adjust. Make sure you adjust your stop collars when you're doing this, when you're doing big changes. So my stop collar needs to move to there, so I don't ride up on the stone face. Okay, the back stop collar I don't adjust because it's got a screw on it. David wants to know, what do you use for your clamps? Is that silicone wrap? That is Plastidip. So this is like a rubberized coating. This comes bare steel. I dipped this 3 coats of Plastidip to get the right thickness that I liked. It took some practice. I screwed it up more than once. I used the spray on Plastidip, and I tried the dip on Plastidip. Make sure you use the dip Plastidip. Okay, let's see where we're at in relationship to the marker. We are too low of an angle on this side by far. Okay, we are at too low of an angle, so we're going to raise it up a degree or so. We're going to keep on adjusting until we start to see the marker disappear right there. Maybe this one is more like 20. Maybe it's Zaan's aren't 17. Ooh, we got a pretty good angle right about there. That gets rid of all the Sharpie on this side. Let's do that again. Do it at the profile. So you see it's pretty clean. There's a little hint up there at the highest point, which is what I kind of want. And on this side should be the same. And it is nice and clean. So let's take this angle measurement for reference. It's not going to be 17. It's like going to be like also 20. It's 21. I'll make it 21 even. 21.1. Okay. 21 even. That's what we're going with. Okay. Now let's profile this tip. It's already pretty well done. It's not a big hump in it. There's nothing crazy. Resharpie it. Make sure we're removing everything we want to remove. Stop color's good. Okay. We're putting our finger under the tip for 2 reasons. One, to keep the sharpener from tipping, because when you have this much pressure out this far, where this is clamped, it will tip the sharpener forward if you put any pressure on it. So we're just keeping our finger under it to kind of take a little of that pressure off, keep the clamps from flexing, so we get a dead flat edge. You need a dead flat edge if you want it to have a nice mirror. So this looks like our tip is going to be a little extra work. So we're going to do a little grinding on that tip. Everything else looks really good on that edge, though. The tip is kind of faded out a little bit. You can kind of see how the tip still got a little bit of Sharpie on it. So we keep on grinding on that until it's all gone. Otherwise, we're looking really good. See how we're looking. Our tip is still, looks like it's fades off to a, can't even tell. We're going to say that's good for this side, though. I want to see what their side looks like for now. Make sure we're not going to make any more adjustments before I get too far along. Okay, this side comes off perfectly clean. So this will be relatively easy profiling this knife. This will be a relatively quick concho, I think, other than that last side's tip's got a little bit of work to do. You want to make sure it's ground very tightly up against the existing grind line. That's what makes it pop. You don't want it to fade out. You want it to be dead flat. That's why you don't want to put too much pressure on this when you're doing this. You don't want to make it curved at all. You want to make it really flat so it mirrors nice. And that's how we do it, folks. That looks good. Can't tell if I kind of put a burr on it even. Now flip. This side looks nice. Just going to really work the tip. Starting to come out. Now it's gone. So now let's do the whole tip. Enough until we can kind of feel a burr. Making sure just the same direction so all our scratches are lined up and looking nice. Looks really good. You got a burr there, to the tip a little bit more. Okay, let's flip. See if we got a burr. We got a burr. We're going a little bit more towards the tip. Got a nice crispy looking satin coarse ground edge. Comes through a nice transition. Okay, let's do one more pass on this side. Looks pretty good. One last pass. Okay, now we're going to switch to a 400 grit stone. This one's going pretty quick. These used to take me forever. This one's existing grind's pretty good. So if the existing grind you're working on is not good, you just got to keep on flipping it back and forth like that until it comes out like this, where all the marker's gone. There's a nice crispy transition line. It doesn't fade off. It's nice and flat. You got a burr, which can take a bit to get to, but we got one. And then you just polish. And this part's relatively quick because it's a small ass area, but it's really easy to see scratches because it's so wide of a bevel. So you're going to do it with a light touch. keeping it flat. Looks good. I'll do 2 passes with this stone. Okay, looks nice. Do more quick pass. Looks really good, nice and clean. Now, honestly, if this was my knife, I'd stop right here. Mirrors are fun, but I really like the way the coarse grind lines look on these Tanto tips. They look really good after sharpening. The mirrors are cool too, but I like the satin look on this. Okay, we are good. 800 grit stone. And 800 is where you really start to see if you're not flat. Ooh, I almost cut myself. If you're not flat, you'll really see it at 800. It'll be kind of shiny, but not all the whole bevel. Like a hump in the middle. Ooh, I cut myself pretty good. Kinda. I pinched my finger between the stone and the tip by picking the stone up a little bit when I was sharpening. No, don't do that. And for good measure, let's just do this one more quick pass. Looks nice and shiny. Okay, 2000 grit stone. We're getting there, guys. We're almost done. 2 quick stones. And then cleanup time. Ooh, this is going to turn out nice. It's good to go. Your fingers will get covered in lots of yummy dust doing this. So FYI. So don't touch your face after you sharpen. It's hard to forget sometimes. I'll like have a big streak of sharpening dust all over my cheek. It's looking good. Let's jump up to the last stone. 5,000 grit. Now my mirrors aren't perfect, and some people go higher in stones and switch stones and do million strops. My mirrors are nice. They're fine. But I don't kill myself trying to make them perfect. I make them nice. They're good. They look good inside. If you go outside in natural light, you can see micro scratches to them. It's really, really difficult to not do that. And I just like to provide something that's usable and functional and cool looking, but not going to cost $100 for an edge. Okay. Last side. This tip is not quite shiny. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Okay. Let's pop this out. Hit it with a strop. Give it a little extra shine. Then test it. Make sure it cuts. Find the right angle. It's looking pretty fly. To the primary edge. Okay. We're all good. In the hood. Let's test it. See how it cuts. Sometimes either this step, I found a chip in the edge or something. Cuts, tip, and primary. So we're good to go. It's kind of fun cutting with tips. Just get the right hand angle on it. Coolio. Now the important part to make it special is clean it up. Got some EDCI spray today. Got a pretty dirty blade. Got lots of Sharpie left over on it. Give a spray down. Use your magic eraser. Okay, that's clean. Make sure you get all the magic eraser everywhere. Get all the Sharpie off. Get all the any residue from the tape off. Then give it a wipe with the chamois cloth. Just take anything else off of it. And there we go. Hard to see it, but we got a shiny big old fatty tip. I'm going to do a little bit of this on the back of the tip. I'm going to take a 400 grit stone. Our tip curls back a little bit, so I'm going to run it along the stone to kind of make the tip a little pointier. Like, yeah. Cool. Well, that is all, folks. That is sharpening a Tanto, Chris Reeve, Umnumzaan. Looks pretty good to me. Let's see what we got. What replacement screws work on the single fillet clamp? Ah, you mean these? I replace these all the time. I don't know what size they are. I think they're M2 by something. You have to get calipers to measure how long they are. I happen to have a bunch of them because I have RC cars and they're the same kind of screws that you use on an RC car. But I think this is my last one. I've stripped a ton of them. I've stripped probably a dozen, 15 of these screws over the last couple of years. They just don't last. They last like a month or two, and then they strip out. So I think it's an M2. You have to look up what length they are, though. But they are screws you can go buy. Let's see this tip again. I might hit it again off camera. Nope, that's good. Get a little more shine on the strap. Even out the shininess of the bevel. It's really hard to make these tips look good. So make them look pretty good. Well, there we go. Thank you all for joining me today. This is your friend Tom Moore coming at you from the Spyderco Millie PM2 Para 3 Club on another sharpening adventure. Join me again next time. I'll be back. I got a Microtech MSI to sharpen. I might hop on here and sharpen it live too. So thank you all. Peace out.